Hi, I'm JD, and welcome to Comics Are Awesome, where we bring you everything awesome in comics. Well, it's back to school time for many folks, and I thought what better time to take a look at a very special school for very special students.
In 1963, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby introduced the world to the X-Men. Professor Charles Xavier created the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, a place to teach young mutants, people born with special powers, how to use and control their abilities, and to dress them up in funny outfits and beat the crap out of whomever he sent his teenage students after. Oh, and at least one time, Xavier wanted to get into Jean Grey's pants. Yes, Professor X is a bit of a creepy douche.
But we're not here to talk about the X-Men today. No, grab your number 2 pencil and get to the class before the bell rings, because we're going to the Umbrella Academy.
The Umbrella Academy Apocalypse Suite was published in 2007 by Dark Horse Publishing, written by Gerard and with art by Gabriel.
And before anyone asks, yes, Gerard Way is in fact the lead singer from My Chemical Romance. Hey, get... Hear me out, hear me out.
In all seriousness, while I do like, if not love, My Chemical Romance, it really has no bearing on this review. While it would be easy to dismiss as a glamour project for an emo rock singer, it never comes across that way. The band doesn't appear in the comic, it doesn't quote their songs, and while some of the characters get a bit mopey, I wouldn't describe the story itself as emo. So I beg of you not to judge this on Way's other career. The Umbrella Academy wastes no time showing you exactly the type of book you're getting yourself into. The first page features a giant space squid about to receive a flying elbow to its, face? By a brawny man in a wrestling ring. At the same time of the giant squid's defeat, and, as the book assures us, by complete coincidence, 43 babies were born by mothers across the entire world, and all with no particular signs of ever having been pregnant. A wealthy philanthropist and inventor by the name of Sir Reginald Hargreaves, aka the Monocle, manages to find 7 of these children, and wipes all traces of their passed away. The Monocle announces that he had plans to train them to save the world.
Of course!
From what? That question goes unanswered as they are unseen for the next 10 years.
You know, I would have thought an eccentric billionaire gathering up children for unclear reasons might garner a smidge more attention from the media. In other news,
We cut to 8 years later. A Parisian street vendor has his life as a French stereotype interrupted by a broom falling from the sky, which in turn is followed shortly by its owner. The police are baffled by this as the splattered corpses continue to pile up. When a group of young boys and a girl in school uniforms and domino masks approach an officer with an explanation. "It's your Eiffel Tower. It's gone insane and must be stopped at all costs." The police officer tells the lead child he is insane.
No, now go away or I shall taunt you a second time.
But the boy introduces his sister, who goes on to say, "Citizens of Paris, I heard a rumor that Musée d'Orsay is giving away many of its finest paintings. They are also serving crepes." This clears out the area just in time as a laser blasts from the top of the tower towards the children. At the same time, from a plane above the city, another girl, also dressed in the same outfit, watches the action from above with the monocle. She asks why she can't play with the others. Hargreaves answers, "Well, number 7, there's just nothing special about you." "Oh," she replies. She then asks where the last of the children, called number 5, is. "The future, I presume. Run away from home, no doubt. I can't be sure, nor can I be bothered. Why don't you go and play your violin?"
Ow, this guy's out creeping Professor X. Can we go back to him? No, that's not any better.
Back on the ground, we see the children fighting. One boy has tentacles shooting out from his skin. Make your own hentai joke here. Trying to keep the other boy from being sucked into the inner workings of the monument while he tries to contact the spirit of a dead engineer who might help them. While another one makes negative remarks, the lead boy, known as number 1, punches the Eiffel Tower in the face. They burst in the control room to discover zombie robot Gustav Eiffel.
Shh. You had me at zombie robot.
Sadly, Gus doesn't stick around long after number 2 tosses a knife at his head. accidentally causing the tower to take off and rocket into space. Hargreaves then appears to inform the children that the tower is in fact not a monument, but a spaceship. They are then rewarded with the key to the city and ice cream.
Aww, what a happy ending. I mean, it's a little short, but ice cream is always nice, and...
We cut to 20 years later, and things have changed drastically. Number 1 is now an adult whose head was transplanted onto the body of a gorilla.
Monkey!
And he lives on the moon. He receives a call from Dr. Pogo, one of Hargreaves' assistants, and returns to Earth. Dr. Pogo, a talking chimpanzee,
Monkey!
confirms to number 1 that the monocle is dead, and standing beside Pogo is number 5, appearing to be the same age as when he disappeared 20 years ago, saying that much worse is coming.
Okay, so then
Hold on
what
a second
happens?
here.
Future JD?
Don't you think it's time for a spoiler
Well,
warning?
you're right, but isn't this rather dangerous to the time stream? Couldn't you have just reshot the footage?
Well, you also owe me $10.
Yeah.
Because this comic is a 6-issue limited series and not an ongoing story, I won't go as far into the plot as I did last time, but I will be delving a bit further, so you have been warned. Issue 2 covers the funeral of Hargreaves. Most of the children reunite for the first time in years since the group had fractured for not entirely known reasons. Besides number 1, aka Spaceboy, aka Luther Hargreaves, we have number 2, the Kraken, aka Diego, who uses his ability to hold his breath indefinitely and his skill with knives for wet work operations. He's also apparently lost one of his eyes. Number 3, aka Rumor, aka Allison Hargreaves, she's given up her ability to alter reality by speaking to live a normal life. Sadly, she's in a failed marriage and lost custody of her daughter. Number 4, aka Seance, aka Klaus, checked himself into a mental hospital in order to get some peace away from his psychic powers and his ability to speak with the dead. And he is frequently an abuser of drugs. And there's number 5, aka The Boy. I'll get into what he's been doing in a minute. Notably absent is number 6, aka The Horror, aka Ben, who apparently died in a mission, one that at least some of the team blame on Spaceboy. He apparently literally had monsters under his skin that he could control. Also missing is number 7, aka Vanya, who apparently had no powers, and who wrote a tell-all book called Extraordinary on the dysfunctional family and apparently has cut off all ties to them. I love the startling contrast between most of the first issue and the funeral. While their adventures as kids hinted at the familial dysfunction, the funeral just peels back the layers of neuroses for all to witness. Kraken and the Spaceboy obviously have a huge grudge between the two of them. Kraken in general has a big paranoid chip on his shoulder, lashing out at even Mrs. Hargreaves, a plastic robot who served as a mother figure for the children. But all of them come off as highly damaged individuals. The fact that they have superpowers seems almost incidental. Well, except for the fact that number 5 reveals that 20 years ago, he had traveled far into the future to find an apocalyptic wasteland, and whatever caused it takes place 3 days after the death of the monocle. Elsewhere, Vanya Hargreaves has been given an audition to play her violin for the first time in years. At the abandoned Nicholas Theater, she is greeted by the villainous conductor and his orchestra, Verdammten. The conductor has written a new piece, the Apocalypse Suite, that when played just right, will destroy the world, and Vanya is the perfect violinist to complete it. Will Vanya join the conductor? Will number 5 prevent the apocalypse? Will Kraken and Spaceboy work out their differences? What happened to Seance's shoes? Will there be ice cream at the end of this adventure?
What? I'm not gonna answer that. I'm trying to get you to read the comic yourself, you lazy bums.
The Umbrella Academy Apocalypse Suite is a fantastic, quirky comic. It straddles the borders between a lighthearted romp and a twisted dark vision. One panel you'll be laughing at some of the absurdities, and the next you'll be disturbed by some of the violence or truly harsh emotional scars these characters have had to bear. It's at times touching, and others just odd. It's a series of contrasting emotions that give it a unique feel compared to most other comics out there today, though it's definitely not for little kids. Gerard Way is incredibly imaginative with the writing. Despite some of the craziness like talking chimpanzees just being another minority group, or wrestlers fighting space squids, there's a sort of twisted consistency and logic to it. and the world feels lived in. It doesn't have enough explanations, and there's a lot of mysteries out there. What threat did Hargreaves create the Academy to fight, and how does he know about it? What happened to the Horror? How did Kraken lose his eye? What happened on the Mars mission that cost Spaceboy his body? What was the Jennifer incident? This book manages to say a lot without really saying much. Also, kudos to Gabriel, who manages to make simple cartoony images that still convey a lot of emotion and expression, but is also capable of some really detailed and beautiful images at times. If I had to compare this comic to something else in media, I'd say it's a weird hybrid of Wes Anderson's The Royal Tenenbaums, which was about a quirky family of geniuses reuniting due to the father supposedly dying of cancer, and classic Tim Burton films with their stylishly operatic visuals mixed with humor. Currently, there are 2 collected stories of the Umbrella Academy. After Apocalypse Suite comes Dallas. Geez, why is it so hard to differentiate between comic and anything that's not a comic? Anyways, Dallas was another limited series that explores more of what happened in number 5 between his running away and his return to the present. While I personally prefer the first volume, Dallas is worth a look to fans of the series, and it's also probably justifiable purchase just to see a fat space boy and Hazel and Cha-Cha, 2 over-sugared time-traveling assassins with cartoonish helmets.
What did we learn today? We learned you shouldn't be a douche to your band of superpowered kids. We learned ice cream is delicious. We learned monkeys are hilarious.
Monkey!
And we learned that zombie robots are awesome. No, wait. I think we all knew that in our hearts. And we learned comics are awesome. So go out and try this one, and if not this one, go to your local comic book store and try something, because comics are awesome, and we're gonna get the word out. Why is your voice so grizzled?
It's the future. Everybody talks like this.